Hey, welcome to the Mostly Skateboarding Podcast. I'm your host, Templeton Elliott. I'm joined this week by Patrick Kagongo and Jason from Frozen and Carbonite for a chat about mental health and the new Vans video, Nice to Meet You. Mental Health Awareness Week was last week, so in true skate fashion, this is the week DC and John Gardner released a bunch of mental health tips, and of course, a John Gardner capsule collection too. Jason, did you find any of these tips helpful?
Yeah, first of all, shout out John, who I guess is the TM over at DC, and whoever else in charge made this video happen. Damon Way, is Damon Way still involved over there? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, there was a bunch of helpful shit in this video. First of all, overall, like Dr. Huberman said, I think he's a doctor, your body and your mind work together. Like, you can't just meditate and fix your mind. Like, all that shit works together. So that's why, next big takeaway, it's easier to talk to someone when you're doing something, you know what I mean? Like skating. That's why shooting pool, going to Dave and Buster's, shit like that is a good date, because it's way easier than, just sitting around, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, doing shit. That's a big takeaway. Also, the third thing, at the beginning when you said, I thought once I went pro, everything would be good, but, I still felt the same way. It's kind of like wherever you go, there you are, Like, everyone thinks, once I get this job, everything will be straight, or once I get this car, or once I hook up with this girl, blah, blah, blah. But you still have the same shit. Like, you're still the same person. You know what I mean? So you got to deal with it yourself. You know what I mean? So those are the three main takeaways, I thought. Good shit.
Damn, I didn't even, pick up on the wherever you are, there, or wherever you go, there you are aspect of it. And I think that's, I don't know. I think I just had a breakthrough right here on the podcast. I've certainly had feelings like that, once this is over, things will change or whatever, and then they don't. And yeah, it's just me. It's just my shit that needs to get dealt with. Patrick, what do you think of all this mental health awareness?
I think it's awesome. I think it's wonderful that we are getting to a space in skateboarding where we're actually starting to talk about not just jingoism around mental health, but talking about coping mechanisms. And I think the inclusion of Dr. Andrew Huberman was a really big help. I normally stay away from folks who pontificate on YouTube, but his channel is actually surprisingly wholesome, especially his discussions of routines and moderation. And, thinking specifically about sponsored skateboarders, there's something very disruptive about being an AM or a pro towards one's mental health. Not to say that it's destructive for everybody, but there are a lot of aspects of it. It's the insecurity, whether it's financial or otherwise. It's those continual rushes of adrenaline that come from pushing yourself so hard for filming. It's for some people, the lengthy periods of time of inactivity where you're not doing much, you're not delivering much, which can sometimes lead to some feelings of some weird feelings as you reflect on them. For some people, it shows up as imposter syndrome. And I think we're just really starting to scratch the surface. And what's interesting too is that John was really awesome when he pointed this out, that mental health doesn't have a signature feature, that there's not some big tell that you can just look at somebody, a stranger that is, and be able to tell, that person is suffering from depression. It shows up in everybody in very, very, very different ways. And I was wondering for both of you, what is it about the moment right now that skating and professional sports in general, because in that aspect, skating is pretty much with the times and talking about a lot of these issues around mental health. Why now? Why are we just talking about this now?
Yeah, good question. Maybe just with current events and whatnot, there's a lot more stressors out there. Yeah, it is kind of in the zeitgeist right now. Like that one tennis player, Naomi Osaka, I think, she dropped out of a tournament, for mental health or whatever. There are all these Instagram pages about self-care and whatnot. That's a phrase you see all the time. But it's kind of become like a corporate buzzword even. You know what I mean? Like at my job, they're always like, well, remember to practice self-care, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like practice self-care, but I need this on my desk by the end of the day, so get cracking, buddy.
Yeah, or just take some time for yourself. Just why don't you give us more paid leave? It's hey, my guy, you're asking a little too much.
Right.
But so no, it just seems even in the NBA, when people were in the bubble, it was crazy like mental health stressor, like they're with their family all the time. So I don't know. It seems like a combination of shit, like mental health being like more acceptable to talk about, plus a bunch of stressors just out there, like current events, pandemic and shit that kind of all came together.
What was weird was that there were people in the tennis world who were honestly, and tennis is so frighteningly retrograde, especially when it comes to the press. There were journalists, former players, practically screaming at Naomi Osaka, being like, "You've got a lot of nerve. You know how many people would kill for to be in your position, to be one of the best tennis players in the world, and you're downing your racket because you don't feel well? What the hell is this?" And they don't seem to understand that, especially now with 30 for 30s, especially now that we have a much deeper catalog of sports documentaries where we get to hear people bare all and talk about being in some particularly stressful and difficult tournaments or games, matches, whatever. A lot of these mental health episodes, a lot of these challenges are not new. It's just that back then you just didn't talk about it. Or it would be like, for example, in baseball, they have the yips, right? Where all of a sudden, can't hit, can't pitch, can't nothing, you're just errors all day, every day. It's always been with us, but there's something that feels good there's something that feels really, really good about the fact that this is coming into the public sphere. But like, how do you prevent this from becoming just a cliche and, having companies say like, oh, self-care, but like y'all said, like you have assignments, you have work to do, and basically they are always focused on the deliverables.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, the way I see it on a day-to-day level, like you got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself, because your employer ain't going to do it. No one else is really going to do it. So, for example, you have to prioritize your mental and physical health, whether that's lifting or running or getting enough sleep, which sounds stupid, but it's really important as far as recharging your serotonin and shit. So just what I mean, on a day-to-day level for the everyday person, is just like setting boundaries with your employer or people who ask shit for you, and just being like, no, like, you know what I mean? Because if you're miserable, if you don't get enough sleep, you're miserable, you're no good to anyone.
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean? Or like if you're like been inside sitting at a desk all day doing whatever the fuck you do on a spreadsheet, got no exercise, like you feel miserable, or you're not gonna be as good, you're not gonna be any good to anyone. And like I 1,000,000% feel better and I'm more effective at my job if I go out and lift in the morning. You know what I mean? So you gotta do what you got to do to practice self-care.
So taking this out of the office and into the streets, what do y'all think are some of the things that make skateboarding the kind of place that isn't an ideal space to work in? And because people work in skateboarding, if you're sponsored, if you work in distribution, if you own a company, if you're a part owner of a company, if you own a shop, like what is it about skateboarding what is it about the skateboard industry that can trigger some people, can trigger mental health episodes?
Because skaters are crazy.
I think also, as far as like sponsored skaters, there's no set office hours, so you can fuck off for a long, long time before anybody notices. So you don't have that routine to keep you kind of in check, and you can go pretty far and nobody's going to notice or nobody's going to say anything. And skateboarding has like a pretty long history with like substance abuse and stuff like that, and is, really adept at marketing substance abuse. So, if you've got a problem, maybe you can just spin that into your personality and, put like a weed leaf or like some booze on your next graphic, and it'll probably sell really well.
Yeah. Plus, like, I don't know what it's like to be a pro skater, but I would imagine there are crazy emotional highs and lows. Like if you land a big trick or something that's insane, come out with a video part, everyone's cheering for you, everyone loves you, then you might get injured, then you're kind of like solo for a while. So that's gotta take a toll, I would imagine, at some point.
And y'all just reminded me of something that came up in an interview, one of several interviews with Jacob Rosenberg, including his lengthy 9 Club. He talked about one thing that was helpful for him was that, he said, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he said, I'd come from a difficult family background and sold it to Carroll Brothers and actually a lot of the kids at EMB. And so skating was a safe space for them. And they got to grow up together and they got to spend time with each other. But, Also in the 1990s, we have to remind ourselves that it was still cool to be a dick, and there was a lot of bravado, and a lot of people had this tendency to kind of really put up walls. And in some instances, it was because they were really protecting themselves because of something or some things that happened or were continuing to happen from at home, and I think that's something about it's a difficult subject. I mean, one of the great advantages of skateboarding is that you get to meet people from lots and lots of different backgrounds. You get to meet people from all over the world. But there is an element of skateboarding that does attract people who've got no place else to go, and that they find an emotional refuge in skating. And that can be a lot to manage as that person grows up and they're working in an industry, they're skating, or they started a company, which has never really accommodated for a lot of these challenges. I reckon that most companies, most skate companies do not have an HR representative, which then leads like this other question. There's been a lot of talk in skating about addiction, and I know that there are some team managers who are trained in how to administer Narcan. But what about, say, emotional Narcan? Like, should team managers or owners do some sort of training or work to be able to identify if a friend or a rider, an employee is going through a crisis? I mean, we've all read stories about people who've quote unquote freaked out in the van, and in retrospect you realize like this person may have been having a manic episode or something. So how do you bring some of these, it can't always be on the individual. There has to be some sort of like institutional, organizational accountability that will help. Like, what can skaters do given our limited means and training and such to, provide emotional Narcan to people, to provide that support, to be able to recognize a crisis?
Man, I don't know. I do think that like the team manager, it's kind of on them to look out for that kind of stuff. And like you said, there's probably not much training for those folks, about that kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I think we just have to kind of look out for each other, which is a pretty inadequate way of doing things most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because if you think about it, a team manager is a human resources position, right? You're managing, this sounds weird or whatever, but like you're managing the human resources of the brand, And maybe it wouldn't be crazy to like set some shit up where like, all right, you're the team manager. We need you to take this like baseline HR certification or something, or like suicide prevention training. Like they did it in my job. Everyone is, trained in like a certain amount of baseline suicide prevention training. You know what I mean? Just something real simple. Because like you said, like 4 brands, or I don't know if big corpo shoe brands have HR. They probably do. But on the van level, I mean, yeah, you're like just like Sam Smythe, like the talent manager,
Yeah, that's a really, really great point, and probably something that's within the reach for even a tiny, tiny skate company. Like if you can afford to put a bunch of people in the van or send some people in the van, you might be able to do that. Because, for example, I imagine that most team managers know some first aid if they haven't received like a formal first aid training. I mean, goodness, you're going to be the first responder before the actual like a 911, an ambulance, or an EMT, whoever can get there. So shouldn't it be seen with the same gravity as like, I need to know how to respond to a head injury, or how to tie a tourniquet, or how to do chest compressions. It's just the same thing. It is, you're caring for people in this very, 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 very limited space. And also like think about it, like a team manager is also sometimes out in the middle of nowhere with the skaters. So they're really like, you might be the difference between this person ending up getting locked up, right, for something going wild on the road, and being able to be like, hey, maybe we should send you home. Like, let's talk through this. Let's work through this, that kind of thing. But we still have a very, very long way to go. But I feel like that would at least be a step to take. But like, what else?
Can you imagine what Rodney Mullen must have been going through, like driving the van with all those world dudes?
Oh, that poor guy.
trying to manage those personalities.
Yeah, I think in general the team manager is maybe the worst job in skateboarding. Although, you get to go on the trips and skate all the spots without the pressure. But I think having to manage a bunch of skaters seems very difficult. But some people thrive on that. And I think that the people who do well at team management are the people who kind of have a knack for it and understand how to deal with people. So I think that they probably naturally have an inclination to be helpful in the way that people need to be helped. So maybe like a lot of what they're doing already would be what a professional would say, this is what you need to do to like help somebody out in a mental health crisis.
No, I feel that. But then I guess then like the other question I have is, especially as we're getting more comfortable talking about mental health, I think one of the scarier things has been losing skaters over the last few years. I mean, going back as far as I can remember, losing skaters to suicide, people who've chosen to end their own life. And there's something that's, because skating is so tiny, and John talks about this, because skating, even if you include all of the rank and file skateboarders, there's something about it that feels so tiny. And, you can, especially in cases where it's somebody who you really looked up to, somebody who's skating you were really excited about, and whose career you follow, there's something that's so destructive and so jarring when you hear that news about somebody. And I think what's really, like, it's been really awesome to see skaters really actually creating their own resources, creating foundations. But like, what can the industry do more of? We're seeing people responding on their own and trying to work their way through this. But what can the industry do more of?
I think what DC is doing is a great first step, like starting the conversation and kind of putting someone out there to be kind of like the face of it. And then we've got what's happening with like the Ben Ramers Foundation, and then what John Rattray is doing. So there's stuff happening, but it seems to be more on like a nonprofit side of things, and not really a thing that the brands are doing, but maybe they're just supporting these folks doing it kind of on the side, which I think is like a great thing and a good first step. And I think that there's probably just going to be more of that. And I don't know if is another industry doing more or doing better than skateboarding in this kind of thing. Like I don't know.
I mean, other industries got way more money, so
right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, could we just steal somebody else's ideas and bring that into skateboarding, or like what's the skate version of the NBA's mental health initiative?
I don't know. They could loan us some therapists. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if NBA, I'm trying to think if they have like a mental health initiative or anything. So,
have you ever seen an NBA player say like, tell your friends you love them? Or like, check in on your friends. Like,
I really don't think I have. Man,
so maybe skateboarding's leading the way.
Yeah, it could be. Like, there's
Kevin Love.
Oh yeah. Kevin Love. Yeah, didn't he say like he was depressed or something?
Yeah,
like,
Kevin Love has been at the forefront. He's been very open talking about his depression. There's a decent number of NBA players who've been speaking about their struggles and trying to normalize the discussions of therapy. And even though Kyrie Irving is wilding right now, just the fact that he just said like, yo, I'm not playing today. I'm not, just taking time off and things like that. And people thought he was out of his mind, and maybe he is, but like, that's his prerogative. There's people, we have all worked with people. We've all done this ourselves where you're just like, I'm just going to take a day and just go skate. I'm just going to go post up and not be at work. And there's something that's really important about that. But, like going to the thing about discussing therapy, I think one of the biggest barriers in the US is that it can be difficult to find a therapist once you get past the stigma, and you have to navigate through the insurance landscape. I'm super lucky. My wife is, member of a union and has top flight insurance, and we're both through her insurance and actually covered a really good EMDR therapist for me some years back. And I am super hyped on therapy and would absolutely encourage everybody to go. But then the problem is that it can be so difficult because it's expensive. And I remember being like super broke when I was living in DC, and I had just turned 30. And basically it was one of those, I woke up and realized, what the hell am I doing with my life? And, I saw a couple of different therapists. One was talk therapist. The other was cognitive behavioral therapy. And it was that therapist who had pointed out, so it's like, really, it's less depression and more adjustment disorder. Adjustment disorder basically being anxiety and depressive symptoms in a reaction to something that's happening. At the time, I was working at a really, really stressful job and had definitely overcommitted myself, like in terms of extracurriculars, namely like being in a ton of different bands and DJing and being, basically not getting enough sleep. But here's the thing, with that adjustment disorder, skateboarding is filled with triggers that would make anybody lose their shit, It could be just like one day too many living in a skate house. It could be too much time on the road, not enough time seeing family, drinking too much, like thinking about it all holistically. But I mean, what's the step to address like the lack of access to mental health? Because like that's a barrier in itself, and it's frustrating, and like that's a systemic issue.
Yeah, that's fucking huge. Because like, how many skaters out there have a primary care physician?
Yeah,
or even have the means or
I don't even have a primary care doctor.
You know what I mean?
I'm 42 years old and don't have a primary care doctor. And I tried to make an appointment to start having a primary care physician, and my appointment is in January.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, navigating the medical, like, you know what I mean? Who wants to take time to do that? Like, it's fucking torture, I'd rather go skate or just about do anything.
Exactly. Like it sucks. Like finding a provider who is in network, right? And back when I was 30, when I was seeing that round of was in that round of therapy, I was paying out of pocket, and the therapist I was seeing, who was absolutely brilliant, took mercy on me. And I should give some context too. I was working for a nonprofit that basically handed out 20 to 50% pay cuts to the entire staff. And I ended up having to take on 3 jobs, and it was like driving me up the walls. I was just exhausted all the time, and like that was like the primary, that was the primary trigger right there. That was just, making me feel burnt out, making me feel depressed. And, like that's shit that was kind of out of my control. Like I couldn't just go and quit and just move out. You got bills to pay and shit. And I really appreciate John talking about breathing exercises and like talking about this idea that you're going to experience suffering at different degrees, and like here are some actions that you can take in the immediate short term and in the medium term to address it. And that's something that's super helpful. And man, like it was awesome hearing him say all of these things, but not everybody is going to be in the space to be able to, not everybody's going to be as self-aware, and not everybody's going to be able to have or be willing to pay the money.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have quote unquote good or quote unquote the best health insurance, and I'm paying out of pocket right now just because my therapist started her own thing. You know what I mean? She used to be in network, I was just like, fuck it, I'll pay out of pocket. I don't want to go through the whole shit finding a person. You know what I mean? But yeah, that one breathing thing is good. It's really hard to come up with a toolbox for dealing with stress, especially when you're used to, just responding with like drinking or doing drugs or shit like that. It ain't easy, man, especially if you've been doing it for a while.
Well, hopefully John Gardner and DC's tips will help people build their toolboxes. I know it helped me, and this conversation also has helped me. So thanks for that, guys. I feel like we hear a lot of people say skateboarding saved my life, which kind of feels cliche and maybe a little empty. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true for the most part. I don't know. It probably goes both ways. Like, it probably ruined a bunch of lives too. It's probably 60-40, like one way or the other. But it's just like anything that people get into. That's any type of subculture that gets you psyched and gives you something to look forward to, whether it's like going out and doing it or, new video or new movie or new whatever. You know what I mean? I think like, I don't know who said this. Like, it was probably Rockdacon. Shout out Rockdacon. But like, if Mike Carroll hadn't been into skating, he would have been a rapper or something like that. So it's kind of like any type of subculture that people get into. That just gets you psyched. Most people don't have that. Most people don't have something that gets them psyched like skating does. I don't know, like football or whatever. I don't know. But what do you think, Patrick?
I'm of two minds about it. I think a lot about the fact that skating introduced me to so much music and so much art, and most importantly, people who changed my life. But I think it's the friendships, it's the people that you meet along the way that really are the thing that changes your life. But yeah, you're right. in every cliche there is a kernel of truth. But the thing about skating that really makes it special, that can be a lifesaver, and you hinted at this, is the idea that you're going out there, and even if you have lost most of your tricks and you're getting on in your years, you're still going out and challenging yourself and trying to do something new. And we are all well over 30. And a lot of people our age are in a routine that does not challenge them that much. There's plenty of people who are, but there's something about picking up your board and going someplace, going to a new spot, going and skating something different. It opens up other parts of your mind, and there's something so refreshing and so awesome about it. And it feels like your own little secret. You're part of a secret club. Skateboarding is going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and yet there's something about it that just feels so personal. And I think that's maybe where that idea that people say it saved their life come from, because it almost feels like everybody comes to skating in a different way. You're not just like, oh, I was playing it in gym, or oh, I picked a team and I moved on. Like, everybody comes to skateboarding in a different way. So maybe it saves your life because you feel as though you get to shape your own narrative around skating. Everybody's skateboarding story is different. Everyone's skateboard story is unique. You can even get two pros who started skating at the same time, and you do a joint interview with both of them, and for each one of them, it's going to be so different. And there's something very beautiful about that. And I think also just the fact that, like, you get on a board and you're pushing down the street, that shit is cool, man.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Most people don't get to do cool shit.
It's true. There's a lot of cool shit out there, but a lot of people are just not doing cool shit.
Yeah, what do people do, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like Muay Thai? That shit is cool too, I guess.
Oh yeah, also physically challenging too. But like, skateboarding there's something, I don't know what it is. There's just something about it that really pulls you in, and it's super personal, and you really can kind of make your own way about it. So and also I think also probably like that feeling of being able to track growth and progression, and it's like, it's all on you, You skate with your friends, you skate solo, but ultimately, it's you who's learning the tricks. It's you who's getting comfortable. It's you who's challenging yourself. And that's a hell of a feeling. And that's, it can, in certain instances, it can be a thing that saves lives. And also, for people for whom skateboarding allows them to see and do things they never thought they would have dreamed of or could never afford. I mean, yeah, that's huge. I mean, still the way Stevie Williams tells it in that ESPN documentary from a few months ago. That shit was ill. Like, the way he talks about it, he's like, yeah, I would have ended up, back in Philly doing some not great things, and now I'm able to do this. I'm able to live this amazing life.
Yeah, it's like the doctor said in the video, like, that feeling of landing a trick and riding away from it is really hard to replace. It's better than any drug or fucking anything. I think, not like I've done every drug, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, seems like it'd be better. Well, my drug of choice is skateboarding. It's my anti-drug. Last night, Vans dropped a few pills. Fuck, I don't know.
Dropped a few pills.
Oh, shit. Last night, Vans dropped Nice to See You, a global Vans video with a full part from Nick Michaels setting things off and Chima Ferguson taking the curtains with a 2-song banger of a part. Patrick, let's start at the end. What did you think of Chima?
That's a Sodi part if I've ever seen one, real talk.
Do you think this is the beginning of a Sodi campaign?
It's kicking it off.
You guys smell that in the air?
Yeah, what's that? What's that smell? What's that funk?
It's Sodi season.
Woo, baby. Yeah, I mean, come on. It's edited by Greg Hunt. He's skating to Bobby Womack and Dusty Springfield. He's got his kid. He's got his dogs. Like, this was like, damn. Like, it's one of the weirder things about the real team, that it's so stacked that there's so many good skaters on that team that you forget. Like, Chima's been there for a minute and he's still amazing. And first of all, that kickflip, the stair set with the fence in front, oof. Damn, like his blindside back threes, right? He is amazing. And also, first thing I thought about, just watching how beautiful everything looked. Like, we need to have a moratorium on filming parts in California. We need more parts filmed everywhere else. Just like 2022, no more parts in California. You got to go someplace else. Like, it was just like a breath of fresh air. I loved all the Australia footage in there. It was great. And also, like, I like the fact he was rocking rocking a quarter snacks hat. Shout out to Snack Man. I mean, Jason Templeton, what'd y'all think? Like, what'd y'all think about Chima's part? Do you think it's Sodi worthy? And were you also as frustrated as I was to hear Nick Michael skating to Sunny Day Real Estate? Because this is a trend that I am not liking.
Well, we'll talk about the music supervision later. But yeah, Chima, it's like in the Karate Kid, like strike first, strike hard. Like he definitely struck first in the Sodi battle this year. I mean, he's always been one of those dudes that everyone knew was super fucking good, really good switchback heel. But his image was always kind of like nondescript. You know what I mean? Might be, like you said, part of being caught in the like deluxe machine with like so many dope skaters and shit. But yeah, I'm glad he was able to put together a signature part, being 33 years old and shit. That to me is incredible. Like jumping down shit like that, being 33, especially in the shoes with those thin ass soles. I don't know how he does that shit. That to me is mind blowing.
Shout out to Tien also.
Oh yeah, Etienne is the best. Like, I always thought when he was a little kid, he was like the Canadian Guy Mariano. Like he still is. Like I think he had like the best footage in this video, in my opinion. I'm just Etienne like super fan or whatever. Like it.
He did have good footage for sure, and I think his footage was in Dustin Henry's part, and I think that this is probably Dustin Henry's best footage. Like I think he leveled up with this part.
Yeah, you can definitely make a case for that. Like he's been a ripper for a while, like everyone's favorite Canadian and shit. So yeah, for sure, it's probably better than his last Alzheimer's part was fucking sick too. Like he's on Alzheimer's. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he was just skating faster and like more aggressive.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is, that his Alzheimer's part, like, had a lot of manuals and shit. This time, yeah, definitely more like fast, big ollies and shit, a little more aggro.
Yeah, it was a little more aggro. That's a great way to put it. But yeah, Chima's part, super good. He gave me Reynolds vibes. I think like the clothes that he was wearing, the way that he was landing, some of the tricks, had some frontside flips, fakie barrel heel down a big set. Gave me Reynolds vibes, like in the best possible way.
Yeah, same here. Like just the way he landed and shit, like so like light-footed. Like it, a lot of times when people skate, jumping down or jump down big stuff, it looks like their whole body is gonna explode. He looked like he was just kind of just gliding. He was, ollieing that ginormous triple set or kick flipping over some crazy railer shit. So yeah, definitely a Reynolds kind of vibe there.
Oh man, his part was so good. Actually, and it's also fun. It's funny for me because I did not grow up on American oldies, so I know nothing about American music before 1960. I mean, I know names and such, but like my parents were never playing that. And so his part reminds me of CBS FM in New York, which those of you who know, it still sounds like it's coming from a tin can, and it's so weird because at some point, they're going to have to start playing rap music. So you're going to have like, all right, and that was a classic by the Notorious B.I.G. This is CBS FM, New York.
Yeah, it's funny how those stations, like a lot of them just don't age. They just have they're just playing the same music over and over and over. So maybe they'll never get Biggie on their airwaves.
Yeah, that Marianne Faithfull song was pretty. No, it was Dusty Springfield, not Marianne Faithfull.
Yeah, it was good. It had the epic vibes that you need for that kind of skating.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of dust, there was a little Dustin Henry in here. Dustin Henry, first of all, like showing off. He's recently been spending a lot more time talking about his First Nations heritage, and it was like what a part, including that part of his life, and also like damn, like All-Timer is another team, like very, 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 very good, stacked, and then also on the Dusty tip. Dustin Dollin. Surprise!
Yeah, surprise. He rolled away from his trick.
Nicely at that. Like, what?
Yeah, that's two videos in a row where he's got makes, which is like, to me, very off-brand for Dustin Dollin. His thing is to like try something and not land it. So I'm happy for this new development.
Yeah, what do you do? Like a little stale fit, no slide stale fish or some shit? No slide tail grab?
No slide grab of some sort.
Yeah, it was like into some tunnel in Paris or whatever.
Yeah,
pretty goth.
He's amazing.
Gothic spot.
He's the man. I've loved his skating since was it Sight Unseen, where he's skating to the stitches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, he always had that crazy fast flick.
Mm-hmm. This was actually like a surprisingly good video, and I was just like, oh, 40 minutes, come on, dog.
In this economy, you kidding me? 44-minute skate video.
Especially with
it
the
was
5
nice.
p.m. premiere. It's like, damn, dude, put it on during my lunch break. Let me get it. Let me get an early start on this.
Yeah, that's going against all the metrics.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Drop-
mean, the Vans social scientists probably know better than we do about what the right time to post a video is.
to drop content. But yeah, I mean, it was like the Vans World Tour. There's like spot porn from all over. Yeah, Dustin's part was cool because it was like the whole width and breadth of Canada. There's like some Vancouver spots, there's some Toronto spots, there's some in the middle spots. You know, it's probably like the more like probably like near his home area, which is tight. So yeah, man, it's like the official part of Canada or some shit.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing about this video is it was like very regional, and you could see it in the architecture. And usually with a skate video, it's like you got all these people and they all end up going on a lot of the same trips. So everybody's got tricks from Paris or China or Japan or whatever. But in this one, it's just like, yeah, all Dustin's stuff is in Canada, and like all of these other guys' stuff is in another place. We got like a cool regional feel from each section.
We need more of it.
Yeah, skate where you live. Like, that's what I want to see.
So no more getting in the van. Just be like, hey, get on the bus.
Yeah, hop on your bike. Skate with your friends. Do some exploring.
No going to China or Dubai.
Nope. No, sir.
No more going to Dubai to skate on Marble Ledge that no one's ever skated.
Yeah, you just
got to,
go to some industrial park and find something else that nobody's ever skated.
like you have to get the permission of some sultan or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sign an NDA or something. But yeah, back to Nick Michelle. I think he's got a lot of juice right now, like really current style with like, you know, the clothes and everything. Like skated a lot of, I'm assuming LA spots that I've never seen before, which is tight. Was he in a bunch of Nick Michael. Was he in a bunch of those Lottie's videos, RIP Lottie's?
I think so, yeah.
Yep, that's Def. There's I think he did an interview with Monster Children last year talking about Lottie's and making the trek from Vegas to LA to skate.
Yeah.
And also like with regards to the lineup, definitely a lot more women in this joint, and that's always, especially like seeing Brianna, like seeing her part. So was this what was supposed to be in in a girl video? Like all this went to the Vans video?
I mean, to me, it was like, oh, this is the Going Pro video that I wanted. You know, the Going Pro video that we got from Girl was trash. You know, like
basura.
So this was like what we wanted.
So why did Krailtap drop the ball? Or maybe it's just like, hey, maybe there was an agreement, just like, hey, we'll give you like a little joint, and then we'll let Vans do like the big welcome part.
Yeah, I think it's just Vans had the juice, and I'm sure Vans pays more than Girl, so it's just like Vans gets the footy. You know, it's going to be part of this big project, whereas like this welcome video or Going Pro video is just like a one-off thing on the internet. But I don't know, because for me, I would want my Going Pro video to be really fucking good, so that everybody like, yeah, Templeton deserves to be pro.
But yeah, this was definitely her most complete part. Like the hard flip down that double set was pretty crazy. Like the footage from the cover, I was waiting to see the cover footy. Templeton, did you say you like to see the footage first before the cover, or vice versa? I think you said that one time.
I like footy first, because I think that the footage is more of like a document of the trick, and then the photo is more of like a piece of art that you're gonna like spend some time with, hopefully.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you can kind of imagine the footy from the photo, but if you see the footy first, it has more of an impact, I think.
Right, because the photo, it's like you already create the footage in your head. You're like, okay, they rolled up, they did the cookie grind, and then they rolled down.
Yeah, and they tell you in the caption,
they're not going to put a non-make on, so you know it's been landed. So it's just kind of like, I filled in the blanks myself.
Yeah, and they even tell you in the caption, like, it's Tafeki, so you can even, like, you know.
Hard-hitting question. Is Frog the next All-Timers?
Man, I was thinking about this, because Michael, damn it. He, like, probably had the most current part as far as, like, how kids, you know what I mean? Your average, like, 16 to 22-year-old, like, likes to skate and shit and skates on a daily basis. Frog might be, like, the next World Industries, dude. Like everyone made fun of World, like, oh, they have, like, you know, little elementary school graphics and shit. But, like, they have some rippers, man. And for some reason Antonio like officially gets on fire, like look out, you know what I mean?
Wait, which Antonio? Antonio Dural?
Yeah, they're out.
Oh, word!
I don't know, like I think he was in a bunch of their videos and shit, but yeah, like look out, they might be the new industry titan.
I would welcome that. Wait, wasn't Antonio Dural supposed to get on some whack company?
Numbers?
I don't know.
Oh,
Man, numbers. Art, rest in peace, numbers.
I don't know. Like, there's something about them that, like, I find myself going back to their videos over and over when I kind of want to just tune out. I tend to watch like frog videos or like some of like just like the stuff that they've thrown up on YouTube, or people who've done YouTube comps of all of their Instagram footy. Like, there's something about it's like they kind of remind me, if they were a food, they kind of remind me of like grilled cheese and like a thing of tomato soup. There's something about it that just makes you feel very warm and fuzzy, which is odd
it feels
for a
like
skate
crew.
company.
It feels organic and real. It's not like a team, like we got to have the guy from here and the guy who skates this way or that way. It's just like, yeah, these are all people that we like. Like, we all like each other.
Yeah, they got a little bit of juice, man, and the fact that they annoy like your average like 35 to 45-year-old skater, the demographic in which we fall is even better. That gives them even more juice.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
With the kids. But Patrick, you mentioned the sunny day real estate before. You're against that trend. First of all, is this really a trend, like the 90s emo music supervision?
Yes, I will give you a quote from the Nick Michael interview in Monster Children. What kind of music you've been listening to? I've been listening to that band Pavement a bunch, and Smashing Pumpkins, Weezer, random rap. It's basically teenagers and early 20-somethings going through and flicking through 90s record collections. And I love Pavement. And I have time for the first 3 Smashing Pumpkins records. Weezer we won't talk about publicly. But just like, especially growing up in a suburb, even an inner ring suburb of New York, there's always something that seems very sort of parochial and suburban and reflective about a lot of 90s emo, and I wanted nothing to do with it when I was younger. And today I'm a little bit more tolerant. I was thinking more aspirational. I was like, Bright Lights, Big City, Sonic Youth, Jarvis Cocker from Pulp. Like, I'm trying to be aspirational with how I'm listening to my music. I don't want to. There's something weird about it with skating, like because a lot of especially that era is so dynamic musically. A lot of very, very quiet parts. I just don't think it goes very, very well with skating. I know this is blasphemy for some people, but I just never vibed with it. Templeton, Jason,
I was like a hardcore kid / emo kid at the time, so I fucked with all that shit, like Sunday Real Estate, Mineral, Christie Front Drive, Promise Ring, all that shit. So I love this trend. Actually, it kind of takes me back to that era, like that one Hot Water Music song in the I guess it's a part like the montage with that channel or whatever. Like, that shit was rad, dude. Like, it had a little like aggro vibe. Like those other songs, I think it was half Japanese. Like, it was kind of twee. Like, you know what I mean? Like, skating's best when it's aggro, in my opinion, or skating music supervision. So I fuck with that song heavy. So I for one welcome this trend.
The twee thing makes me feel weird because it's like almost like we're once again in this twee space again. And I remember some years back when all the Brooklyn bands were basically trying to sound like Sarah Records from the UK, and trying to sound like the Pastels, who are from where are they from? They're from Scotland. Shout out to Stephen Pastel. And just this sort of like fringe haircut, like shitty guitar playing, and lyrics that don't make any goddamn sense. Like I have a lot of time for the first wave from the UK, but like I don't want to hear. If I want to hear bad guitar playing, I don't know. Like it's and I mean, like, we're to the point where just like y'all couldn't even take 5 minutes to tune everything. Goodness, I just don't think it works with the way that a lot of people skate. And I don't know, maybe that's just me being mean, but I mean, like, Templeton, what do you think of the music?
I liked it. I like Jason was into that kind of music at the time, and there was a lot of Promise Ring in like 411 back in the day. So
yeah, I remember that one, MJ, the one Mark Johnson part.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
So I'm down for the emo stuff. Stoked to hear it in the videos. And I reached out to friend of the show, Greg Hunt, and asked him about the Sunny Day Real Estate and Hot Water Music features specifically. And he said that Nick Michael chose that Sunny Day Real Estate song. So I always think it's cool when the skater picks their song. And then Shari White, who was the main filmer behind the Canadian section, she picked the Hot Water Music song. And Greg said that she put a lot of work into finding music for her edits. So I think that they've got soul, like those music choices. So I'm down.
At least it's reflective of taste and not just, we just threw some whatever music. So then that begs the question, why is it Vans can do this video, but none of the Soltech brands can?
I mean, they got manpower. They're putting out videos like crazy. You know, like a couple weeks ago, they put out like the Vans Europe put out that video going to Sicily and skating all that like crazy abandoned infrastructure. And then like the Vans Europe folks are putting stuff out all the time. So I think they just have a video machine that Soltech just doesn't.
Is Florentin Marfang still on Vans Europe?
I don't know.
He's
no idea.
Whenever I see him on Instagram, he's still skating the same type of like Vans cupsole from like 2002 or something.
Sick.
Saved all his boxes.
Yeah, shout out that guy. Still
He's
doing
so
it
good.
in Barcelona somewhere.
It's like it befuddles me that Etnies could be doing videes like this.
What do you mean?
They just has the juice. They don't have like the creative folks. They don't have the vision. Like who even is on Etnies? There's like a lesser McClung probably, and then
there's a McClung.
Who else?
That other Canadian that does
TJ Rogers.
No, he's on Ez.
That part that he put out recently was fucking good.
Oh yeah, it was like all VX or something, or it looked like it was VX.
Yeah, I think No Music also.
Yeah, he has really good pants too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, wait. They got Chris Jocelyn. Like, come on, like.
Oh yeah.
Give him, and also Nassim Lashub. Why don't put them two in a part together, something like that? Like, come on, like even like one more Sheckler part, and put some cool music in there too.
Yeah, Sheckler part would be probably amazing.
Man.
And like maybe make it super meta and like basically like do an update of Life of Ryan. I mean, come on, man. Like he needs to give us one more. Just one more. But like Etnies could be doing this. S could be doing this. Some bodies at Soltech could be doing this. Like this Vans video is cool. Like I'm sure Soltech has enough money to pay somebody to do something cool.
But I don't think Soltech is attracting the right people. Like they might have enough money, but the people with the vision are like, I don't want to make an Etnies video. I want to make a Vans video or a Nike video. So I think that's the issue.
So they need a middle. They need somebody in the middle, like a vibe consultant to come in and get things right, to bring in those creatives who will take them to the next level. Like that could be a job, right? In skating, like I said, vibes. I help people come together for the vision.
It's a brand consultant.
Exactly.
That's a real job.
Maybe the mostly skateboarding branding agency can take that on.
But
I'm talking about change management. I'm talking about the whole organization.
Theoretically, if they came out with like a trilogy type thing and just had a part with like the dopest people, like a Wade part, a Jocelyn part, America just came out with the video, so just like a combined Etnies video, just like the dopest people, all the Euro kids. It might be something.
See, you're giving away jewels for free. You should be charging. You should be charging for this.
That's a little taste of what you get from the Mostly Skateboarding Creative Agency. First one's
don't
free.
Take our word for it. Speak to another satisfied client.
But Vans is so ridiculous. They didn't even have Gilbert or who's the other guy, the 50s guy, the greaser guy.
That doesn't narrow it down.
No, it doesn't really narrow it down.
Jason Adams?
No, not him.
Oh, Elijah Burrell.
Yeah, Burrell. Yeah.
Well, they just put out a video like not too long ago.
Yeah, true.
All right, okay.
What was that, Patrick?
Pictures. I haven't seen pictures of him recently. Is he a greaser now?
I think his current vibe is more like cholo. Is
that
an offensive term? Can I even say that?
You can say that. That's not offensive. People there's people self-identify as cholo. Whether or not it's appropriate for Mr. Elijah Burrell to be copping that look,
Yeah,
It's up for debate.
He was definitely on some greaser shit in that
Yeah,
one
like
with Gilbert.
see my man hanging out on Whittier Boulevard on Saturday night.
Yeah, trading the Porsche SUV in for a lowrider or some shit.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. That I welcome. That I definitely welcome. Yeah, actually, yeah, like that shows the depth of the Vans team. That just like we got a whole bunch of people. They're not even in the video. How you like me now? Like
yeah, like Andrew Reynolds wasn't in the video. Like there's probably a whole slew of people that weren't.
that's
in
too
there.
much. You can't be bringing in Reynolds and Chima Ferguson.
Yeah,
in the same video.
look, this was the Chima Sodi power play at the end of the day. So we'll see who's next, who fires the next shot.
I think it's gonna be Yuto with a full length part, but I don't know. He got that Olympic gold though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Olympic gold is probably the first swing in his
Yeah,
fight for Sodi.
he had a
then-
cover, he had an interview, but Chima also has a couple other things going for him. A sponsor that can bankroll like the prerequisite like Sodi trip, to obviously Australia, which is a preferred Sodi trip destination. So he has those things going for him as well. So guess we'll see next few weeks.
Do we want to talk about any of these middle players from the video? We got Ronnie Sandoval, Alexei Krasny, Notis Gilis, Japan, China represent.
That one guy Notice had really good spot porn in his part. I thought it was from like Cyprus or something. But is he Greek? You said in the notes he's Greek.
Yeah, he's Greek. So in that zone.
Yeah. You can kind of tell from like the just from the marble and shit.
Yeah. Shout out to Japan. I'm loving all the new Japan footage that's been coming out over the last, I guess, year and a half. It's sick. Was it Daiki Hoshino? Really, really good.
Yeah, given some Dylan vibes.
Which we welcome. R.I.P. the God. 5 years ago this month.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But wait, Templeton, you mentioned this in your notes as well. Was Sandoval's table stuff like satire?
I think it must have been. It was subpar. But I don't know, because he also had that fake Yali down the big four, which was like, that was like a gnarly trick, but also like a gnarly trick for like one of my homies when we were at our best, Like,
yeah.
But then like he backed it up with some legitimately really fucking gnarly shit into some really crazy banks. So it's like was it in there just as like a lark? Or was it serious? Like, I don't know. Definitely threw me for a loop. And I thought it was funny when I saw it. I was like, 50-50 shove it on a table.
Yeah, there were probably some invert MBDs in there, but like we don't care because, it's a mostly skateboarding podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blind to that shit.
This was actually like, I think what the shocking thing was like, if this is on in a shop over the next couple of weeks, I'll probably definitely like pause and be like, let me watch it, watch a little bit of it here, and then end up just hanging out the entire time. Like, it's like it's a little sad when a video like this comes out after the summertime, at least in the northern hemisphere, because like this is the kind of video you want to put on before you go out and skate, and like let's say people are meeting you at your place. Like this is, it has that vibe. It has that like, oh, hold up, let's just like wait till Chima's part, and then we'll go. And putting something out like that in October, granted, it's not sub-freezing in Southern California, but it's definitely cooler. It's been very, very windy, so it's been hard to skate. And seeing this like got me really, really hyped. And then to have Santa Ana winds going on outside, and it's all dry, and you got to change up your moisturizer game because you're ashy. Frustrating, but like shouts to Vans for putting out like a very good video like this late in the year.
Yeah, man. I mean, here in the Mid-Atlantic, at least, like in the summer, it's too hot to skate in the middle of the day. You know what I mean? There's like a half-hour time period where it's, when the sun goes down and shit, when you can really skate. So this is like the prime skate time around here. It's like skate season. So, for us, it's pretty sick. Pretty stoked on it.
Man, I would be really stoked if it was prime skate season here in the Northwest, but it is very rainy, or getting to be rainy. But anyway, that brings us to the end of our show where we talk about what we're stoked on. Jason, what are you stoked on this week?
Well, first of all, stoked on Venture Trucks out of San Francisco, California. Stoked that I was able to obtain an Xbox Series X, which is rad. Hit me up on Xbox Live, run Warzone. And yeah, in the past couple of weeks, especially since I was out, a ton of shit has dropped, especially on the free Skate Mag website. That's my go-to plug for footy. Specifically, there was that video called All Right Yeah by, I guess it's a French t-shirt brand or something, by Jeremy, with a bunch of Paris spot porn and like some Carl Aikens and Eric Herrera footage. That was super sick. Also, the taste video from a Brazilian shop called MKD, if you're into the Brazilian shit, which I am. And finally, stoked on the Keith Denley pro part over on Quarter Snacks. Pretty sick New York type footage there. Patrick, what are you stoked on this week?
I'm stoked on Spitfire Wheels, also out of San Francisco, California. I'm beyond stoked that it's almost the weekend because I'm exhausted. I got to skate a new park this past weekend, Malibu Bluffs, which is right near Pepperdine University. It's about an hour from central LA, even without traffic, and it was completely worth it just for the view of the Pacific Ocean and the bluffs above. Really, really fun temporary wood park. I actually kind of hope they keep it. Even though I ride Ventures, I'm actually stoked on the new independent video, not only because of everybody who's in it, but also because it has a great soundtrack. It's a lot of German stuff. It has music by Neu and Amon Duel 2. I'm also stoked on Jenkins' 7.75 hat that just dropped because that was the go-to size, like 95 to 2000, 7.75. I actually just set up, I had an old set of Venture 5.0s, and I was just like, let me just set up a 7.75 board just for laughs. And it's so weird. I ride 825s or 838s now, and it feels strange. It's a big difference. Templeton, what are you stoked on?
There's always some truck talk on our podcast, but I'm usually pretty quiet about it. But this week, I'm stoked on Thunder Trucks. Just got 2 sets, one for my regular skate and another set for a new cruiser that I'm going to set up with a friend of the show, Josh Love, his first pro board from the Killing Floor. They don't make it in my regular size, so I'm going to get the big boy and set it up as a cruiser. So stoked on my Thunder Trucks. That's it for the show this week. Be sure to check out mostlyskateboarding.net for links to things that we talked about and other show notes. Until next time, you can keep up with us all week online. Patrick, where can the people find you?
Y'all can find me on Twitter at Colonel K Speaks. You can also find me on Instagram and Clubhouse at PKigongo and doing stuff with the Harold Hunter Foundation. Jason, where can the people find you on the internet?
On Twitter at Carbonite1994, on Instagram at Frozen Carbonite, and writing stuff for quartersnacks.com. Templeton, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Mostly Skateboarding and on Twitter at Mostly Skate. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.